Hi, this is Miss Wright, and I'm going to go over the words for list 2 of I Know Why the Cage Birds Sing. And the first word in list 2 is blasphemous. It means speaking irreverently of a sacred being. In other words, speaking disrespectfully of God, or in a religious sense, putting yourself equal to God would be considered blasphemy. Um, Showing no respect for God, speaking negatively about God, all of these things would be considered blasphemy. To be blasphemous is to disrespect God. Coherent, logically or aesthetically consistent and holding together in a harmonious and credible way, sticking together. So what does that mean? To be coherent is to make sense. So if an argument is coherent, the premise is supported by logical details that support the premise. If a person is making an argument and the supporting evidence doesn't actually relate to the premise, that person is presenting an incoherent argument. If the person goes off on tangents or the person evades the premise because he or she cannot actually support that premise, then the argument is coherent. So when something doesn't hold together, when it doesn't work logically, it is considered incoherent. To be coherent is to have everything work together and make sense. Okay? If you read a book and the author is just throwing things in there, the book is incoherent. You can't understand it. Commensurate is the same size or proportion. So something that is commensurate, it makes sense in that it fits in to its surroundings, it fits into its role, it fits into its place. So if a person has an executive job, his salary is going to be commensurate with his responsibility. You're not going to pay a man who's running a Fortune 500 company $20,000 a year. That's not commensurate with his responsibility. Neither are you going to pay someone who is just an entry level worker $1 million a year because that's not commensurate with his job description or what he's going to do. So when something fits in proportion to another, we say that it is commensurate. Condescension, the act of behaving in a patronizingly superior way. And we studied the word patronizing, I believe. And patronizing had two meanings. One was positive, one was negative. Condescension also has two meanings, one positive and one negative. So if I condescend to you, um, in that I'm speaking to you as though you are less than I am, that's negative. Nobody wants people to condescend to them in that way. However, if someone is truly in a higher situation in life, a higher position in life, and that person takes his or her time to come and interact with people of a lower station, that's also condescension, but not in a negative way. So if the Queen of England condescended to come to my house for tea, I would be so honored. If Mrs. Obama decided that she wanted to stop by and see how I am, her condescension would honor me because she's truly in a much higher situation in life than I am. And for her to take time out of her busy schedule to notice me would honor me. So condescension can be positive, or if I talk down to others and make them feel less, then condescension would be negative. Okay? Debutante. A debutante is a young woman entering society. And by that I say in times of the past, upper class families or families with wealth, they would raise up their young ladies, and around the ages of 16 or 17, those ladies would be presented to society, meaning that they would be ready to seek a husband. And those girls had been gone to the best schools. They had learned all kind of manners and etiquette, and they were ready to step into the role as a wife of a prominent man. Today we have similar activities where girls have cotillions and they're presented to society, not necessarily so much to find a husband, but to say that they are eligible for dating young men of a certain class, certain society. Okay. Ecumenical. Ecumenical is promoting unity among religions. So it sounds like it's something positive, and as far as I know, it is. So ecumenical has to do with religion and hoping that religions can all get together and cooperate. Expeditious, done with speed and efficiency. I want you to do your homework in an expeditious manner. So I don't want you to spend all night on it, but I do want you to do it well and do it efficiently. So it should be correct, and but it shouldn't, you shouldn't dwell on it all night. So try to do your homework in an expeditious manner. Frivolity. Frivolity is silliness. Most teachers don't like a lot of frivolity in the classroom. We like to have the classroom be a serious learning environment. Fun every once in a while is good, but we want to focus on our academics. Infuse, to fill with something. And this is not like fill a jug with water. This is when you go deep into the um, cell of something, deep into the inner workings of something. So, you know, a doctor might, and think of the word transfuse. Transfuse and infuse are kind of related. So, we might want to infuse someone with knowledge, right? That's not like pouring water into that's going into the mind and permeating the mind with knowledge. Hopefully school will infuse you with greater understanding of life. Inscrutable, difficult to understand. Um, so if someone says something that you find puzzling, something that puts you in a quandary, then it might seem inscrutable, hard to understand, not impossible, but a challenge to comprehend. Jauntiness, having a buoyant or self-confident air. So a jaunty person is upbeat, happy, enthusiastic. Jauntiness is a positive trait, as long as you know how to control it. Masochists, those who enjoy being mistreated. That sounds weird, but there are actually people in this world who like to be mistreated, and they're called masochists. People who stay in bad relationships for way too long are often described as masochists. So if you're in an abusive relationship and you can't seem to find the strength to go, someone might refer to you as being a masochist, where you're staying in a negative relationship and wondering, are you actually enjoying this negative relationship? Morose. Morose is gloomy. It describes a person's attitude or demeanor. So a morose person would be marked by, a sad expression, unenthusiastic, maybe depressed. So this is more emotional. I wouldn't say, oh, the day looks so morose out there. Um, but a person might be described as morose. Okay? Mote is a small particle or a speck, and this actually it makes me think of a passage from scripture which talks about trying to take a mote out of someone else's eye when you have a beam in your own, and it's just a mote is like a splinter, a tiny piece of wood, a piece of ash or dust that might get caught in your eye. A small particle of anything is considered a mote. Raucous, rough sounding. Raucous makes me think of music, loud, rough sounding music like at a concert when they have the speakers turned way up and it's blaring, very raucous, rough sounding music. The neighbors might call and complain of the loud noise. And tribulation has to do with suffering. That also has a biblical connotation because we hear it in biblical context a lot, talking about trials and tribulations, the sufferings that we all have to go through at one point or another in our life. So tribulations are sufferings, hard time, adversity, hopefully that we will overcome eventually as we grow and mature. Okay, so those are the words from list 2. I hope this helps you to study. Remember to go to Quizlet.com, and Quizlet has the words. When you see the word, click on the yellow star, and once you go to flashcards, those flashcards will only be for the words you've chosen to study. So you can isolate the words from list 2 and practice that way. Okay? Have a great day. See you soon.